United States Navy,
the United States Air Force,
of the U.S. Army.
And I am a veteran of the American War in Vietnam.
And I've been a member of Veterans for Peace
for 2.5 years.
15 years.
Close to 30 years now.
For about a month now.
For over 1 year.
An active member for 20 years.
We as military veterans do hereby affirm our greater responsibility
to serve the cause of world peace. To this end, we will work with others both nationally and internationally.
To increase public awareness of the causes and costs of war.
To restrain our government
from intervening overtly and covertly in the internal affairs
of other nations.
To end the arms race.
To reduce and eventually eliminate nuclear weapons.
To seek justice for veterans and victims of war.
To abolish war as an instrument of national policy.
To achieve these goals, members of Veterans for Peace pledge to use nonviolent means
and to maintain an organization that is both democratic and open,
with the understanding that all members are trusted to act in the best interests of the group
for the larger purpose of world peace.
Red leather, yellow leather.
Let's go scrolling. Here we go. Ready, get set, action.
We will use our anger at injustice as a positive, non-violent force for change.
We will approach every encounter with fellow members and the public with positivity and mindfulness.
And with the assumption that concerns raised are coming from a positive place.
And present a learning opportunity.
Our attitude,
as conveyed through our words,
symbols, and actions,
will be one of openness, friendliness,
and respect towards all people we encounter.
All members have an important role to play in Veterans for Peace.
Regardless of previous military rank, branch, or combat experience,
we will respect one another as equal parts of a whole.
We will not assault verbally, in person, or online anyone,
to include fellow members and those who oppose or disagree with us,
even if they assault us.
This does not preclude a member's right
to defend themselves
against a physical attack.
In keeping with our commitment to achieving our goals through nonviolent means,
there is an expectation that members will not carry weapons with them
to Veterans for Peace events
or while representing Veterans for Peace,
regardless of the laws in their location.
We will follow the directions of designated coordinators
during public actions
organized on behalf of Veterans for Peace.
We'll use democratic principles within our organization to ensure an open, fair, inclusive, and transparent environment.
We will speak as members of Veterans for Peace,
but not for Veterans for Peace,
unless designated as a spokesperson for Veterans for Peace.
All members are free to speak for themselves or on behalf of their chapter as appropriate.
Sexist,
racist,
homophobic,
ageist,
transphobic,
gender discriminatory,
and all other discriminatory language and actions
are common within the military.
They are not acceptable within Veterans for Peace.
Our words and actions will maintain
the political and financial independence of Veterans for Peace.
To achieve the above goals, we will also engage in active listening.
That is, fully concentrating on what is being said,
rather than passively hearing the message of the speaker.
Hi. This is Gamers for Peace, Thelema Circle. Just as I fix the problems, I always find another one. All right. This is Thelema Circle, our bi-weekly admin meeting open to the public for the community to talk with us. My name is Sincerely V. I am a United States Marine Corps vet, along with member of Veterans for Peace, staff member of Veterans for Peace, community member of Gamers for Peace, and all-around guy that does cool stuff sometimes. And I do things. I do things. And I am with other people that do amazing things. See, I just do things. They all do amazing things. So I'm going to pass this along, and I'm going to toss it over to Little Pistons, who can go ahead and start the introduction. It's off.
Hey, I'm Pistons. I'm a Gamer for Peace and the Rocket League coach. I'm also a Veterans for Peace associate member, and I will send it to Jules. Pacifist War Vet.
That's me. My name is Jules. I also go by Pacifist War Vet as a streamer and as in our Discord server. I am a 6-year veteran of the United States Air Force, including time I spent at Abu Ghraib Prison in Iraq. What else? Oh, also, I am the member coordinator on staff for Veterans for Peace. And I'm also a member of About Face Veterans Against the War. Go About Face. And also, fuck war. I will pass it on to Phoenix.
Hello, everyone. My name is Phoenix. I am a Afghanistan war vet and a member of Veterans for Peace. Not only part of Gamers for Peace, but part of Veterans for Peace larger community. On the membership committee and the Transformative Justice Committee, and a few other things. Try to dabble in some things, but I've been a member of Veterans for Peace now for over a year. But I've been as active as I could be. So I'm also on the e-board for my local Veterans for Peace chapter. So try to stay active. And I'll pass to Mash.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Mash. I'm not really Potato. I just don't have my webcam set up today. Army vet, 8 years, and Gamer for Peace. And I'm gonna swing it down to a grizzly-looking Garrett who just joined us.
Hey, sorry y'all. Didn't mean to mess up any overlays. I'm Garrett Reppenhagen, Paladin Dad, rep, and I run the Dungeons and Dragons game, Broken Thrones game sometimes, and I'm the executive director of Veterans for Peace. Who hasn't gone?
I think that wraps everybody. I think that's good. So for anybody that this is the first time tuning in, if you are watching this and you have no clue who Gamers for Peace is, Gamers for Peace is an initiative, a community-led initiative started by veterans and the allies of Veterans for Peace to combat toxicity in gaming and the military entertainment complex and recruiting of people through Twitch in our gaming and activity hobbies. So welcome if it's your first time. And if not, thanks for coming back. So with that, we're going to dive right into the Thelema Circle, this admin meeting, and pull up the rolling notes so we can do a conversation. So check-ins are done, and got first bullet point, convention committee. Unfortunately, it looks like the Thelema Circle members that are on the convention committee aren't here this evening, unfortunately. They're here with us.
I don't know if I am on the convention committee. I know my name was on it when they submitted it. That's all I know.
Which is okay, Jules. That's
cool.
That's okay. Well, so we have one convention committee person here.
Okay.
As of right now. But we were going to do a convention committee check-in. And as of right now, it looks like War Puppy's putting some work into it from a message that he sent out. And it looks like TJ's going to be putting some work into it very shortly. And there is going to be some movement and more build-out. And we're here to support it as however the committee, however they need. And this is a committee that, or a Gamers for Peace subgroup that is open to the community to be able to hop in if you want to help put on convention workshop, help bring Gamers for Peace to the larger Veterans for Peace community, and get a little bit of get involved. There's absolutely space to do that. I know everybody's talking about the mountain, man. It's I love the grizzly beard. So doesn't look like there's much at this point to talk about convention committee, unless anybody has something they want to add or direction they would like to see, or have some input or ideas to talk about it. Boom. All right. So first bullet point, we're going to take bounce for a second and circle back. The next Thelema Circle, that'll be 2 weeks from now. All right. Next, we have a follow-up to the last Thelema Circle, where we started talking about and planning the first GFP-initiated direct action campaign. We have 2 proposals that we started fleshing out. The first being a Twitch recruiter badge or Twitch military badge for streams related to the military to designate recruiters or military streams that have access to children for recruiting purposes, because that is a workaround they have currently to limitations on who they can speak to and when. Instead of going to the mall and hanging around the food court for mall rat kids, they are now in our gaming spaces with esports teams and in channels, and chat channels talking about the military, and in Discord.
To be clear, they're still in the malls. They're just doing both.
Yeah. Well, they were out of the malls for the pandemic, maybe a little bit.
Oh yeah, good point. Good point.
But that doesn't change the fact that they're in both places, and we want to make sure there's some truth in recruitment out there so that people understand what they're getting into with the military, and that there's not additional unsavory practices in recruiting. So has anybody put any thought or have any thoughts about where we left off with the Twitch recruiter badge campaign?
Last thing I remember about these campaigns is that we were going to try and gauge community interest about which of the 2 campaigns we wanted to throw our weight behind at first.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that we've done anything towards that end, but I was going to drop a link in the Survey Monkey. I just put it in the Zoom meeting chat, but it's a free survey creating tool that, since we kind of stalled out on these as far as I'm aware from last time, if we really want to take that next step and look at what the community, like where the energy is between our 2 direct action campaigns that we're looking at right now, it might be wise of us to just throw up a Survey Monkey link in the Discord as a GFP announcement. Just be like, hey, like let's get the proposals like cleanly fleshed out, like 1-2 sentences, and then see where interest is at that way. That might be something. That way we can kind of, I don't know, focus efforts. Food for thought.
That sounds pretty solid. Thank you for dropping the link. That is something that can be...
I can do that. Make the survey.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for volunteering, Pistons. Appreciate that. I think that's... I absolutely agree with you. I think that's a great step. The first step to gauge interest and energy in these campaigns so that we can start going about seriously approaching them the way the community wants to. Thank you for that suggestion, Mash. Does anybody have anything else about those 2 campaigns? There's been a lot of other things. A lot has been going on with overhauling tech and convention. So there's a lot of moving parts in Gamers for Peace right now. So, and there is a sense of urgency in the things that we do because we care and we're passionate about the stuff but we're not expecting a campaign to be fleshed out and executed within a week. So it's important that we move forward as a consensus. Pacifist, you have something?
What was the second campaign? It was a Twitch military recruiter badge, and then the other one was
the second campaign is the military ads campaign, Twitch military ads. Currently, you cannot opt out of any ads, let alone military ads. And the military can put their ads on Minecraft streams and whatnot. And we're trying to see if we would like to pressure Twitch to enable an opt-out of DoD-related ads.
Was there something about also not allowing them to be streamed on not 18 plus?
I
feel like I remember us talking about that. I could be wrong, but I'm gonna just put we're looking for an opt-out.
It's not explicitly listed in the notes previously, but yes, I think that is an easy add-on and an easy, like, I don't see that being far or causing mission creep, in my opinion. I don't know how anybody else feels for in regards to that campaign.
Yeah, I think that's right on target.
Cool. All right.
I just had one thing with that.
Go ahead.
You know, there's obviously other metrics you could look at when choosing or prioritizing campaigns. You know, what has the best potential to build power, which ones are achievable, quantifiable. You know, there's different metrics that you can also look at. You know, it's very possible you could put out a Survey Monkey and, you know, we might not get a lot of responses, or we might get, you know, like tied responses, but, you know, we could also kind of evaluate these things in different ways to try to pick a campaign.
Can you go through those ones that you just mentioned? Building power, achievable, and then what else? There was a third one.
If they're quantifiable, if the success is quantifiable. You know, I think looking at things, is there an evolution? Like, can you escalate the campaign, you know, from one point to another? Those are all things that you could also look at, you know.
Okay.
Do we have capacity to do them? You know, what will it take, and do we have those resources? And do we need to build that into the campaign as growing the resources to become successful in the campaign? You know, we can look at all those things, and if one campaign is actually a step in a larger campaign, you know, you could look at that as this step one. Another one is step two.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Phoenix?
Yeah, I think it's important to note that these are like more like overarching goals, right? So there'll be smaller actions I think we'll take to meet these goals. And I think that when we conceptualize them for the long term, thinking about it in the context of like, this isn't something we're going to achieve overnight, right? So like there'll be a lot of smaller actions that take place to go along with these things. So this is more of like fleshing out the overarching goal of why G4P is doing what it's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think like Mash said, though, it's a good first step to just see where the energy in our group is.
I don't disagree. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. I love those points. It's I think those are great points and needed to be said out loud on stream sometimes. I think we forget that in individual day to day. I think like the capacity and stuff gets lost. Speaking of, does anybody else, before I do this segue, does anybody else have anything about those direct action campaigns from there? Okay. So we will do the survey. Little Pistons will do the survey, and we will start looking at capacity, like the things that Garrett mentioned specifically, quantifiable, can it be evolved, escalated, the power structure, capacity, all of that. And look at what the little steps are inside of achieving these bigger campaign wins, right? So with that said, this brings us to a big point for us, because we capacity is something that's important, and the energy of the group and efforts and the community that we're building is tight knit, and a lot of people have put energy in, and we should be talking about burnout and overextending within the Gamers for Peace community, because a lot of people want to do the work and have volunteered their efforts in amazing ways. We wouldn't be here without that, and we want to make sure that the healthy culture, and like, this is a hobby space, it's an activity space, and when you're doing some of these efforts, it can feel like work. So we want to foster a healthy work habit, hobby, activity space, because this should be fun, right? Nobody wants to play games that aren't fun, and if you're burnt out and you don't want to play games, it really sucks, and that means being physically healthy and mentally healthy. So Phoenix brought this up and wanted to make sure this was a topic to discuss tonight, so I'm going to turn it over to Phoenix to lead this part of the conversation, if he doesn't mind.
Yeah, sure. So my thought about bringing this up was, I know how even I definitely have been like probably AFK for a little bit, right? Because I've been on vacation and trying to do stuff, and even right now I'm not even at my home. I'm working off a laptop, and it is difficult to meet all these meetings and keep a schedule and maintain all these things when most of us are balancing full-time jobs and families and personal lives that might need some taking care of. So I think it's extremely important for people to, although we get super excited about these topics, to very carefully consider how much effort is realistic for us to put into. Because I am super guilty of this. When I get excited about a topic, I go full force for like the first month, and then I'm like, I need to go to this meeting, and I need to do this, and I need to do that. I did that for About Face and Veterans for Peace when I first joined, actually, because I was in both, and I joined committees on both, and I quickly burnt myself out. It was bad, and I had to it took me like really like taking a step back and evaluating my own skill set and trying to really focus on where my strengths are as a person. So I know that, I work as a therapist full time, and doing that kind of work, that's why I really wanted to transform my Monday stream into Mental Health Mondays, because I know that's my strength, and being able to talk about service connected mental health, I think, is important for the veteran community, and really talking about the realities of what that service connected mental health will look like for a lot of people. But also doing that in gaming, but I know that's where my strength was. So I think if we can really focus on where our strengths are, we'll experience less burnout, but also recognizing what that capacity is for how much we can give. So I'd love to hear other thoughts of how other people might go about doing that, because I think that's important for people to hear. Because I think, especially a lot of us, I know Rep for sure, and Jules, and Colleen have all been part of activist spaces for a long time. And how do you guys avoid burnout? I think I would love to hear that, because learning from that experience, I think, is important.
Well, I usually burn out by like Thursday, and then yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like in an activist space in general, you dedicate yourself a lot. You have the sense of urgency that what you're doing is important, and you got to solve the world problems today. So that adds another level of like, you're already doing 110%, then you're at like 120, 130, and then yeah, then you get these commitments to a community, and you feel a responsibility, a social responsibility to the community. And, now you're at like 160, 170%. And yeah, it's a trial, but I think understanding your capacity and your scope, focusing on not always just what you're good at, but what fills you up, you know. And that's it might not always be what you're good at, but if you want to do it, and you're excited about it and it fills you up, then it's not gonna drain you. And having a good community around you is really important. I know it wasn't on the agenda, but some of the stuff that Word of Microsoft was saying, about running a nonprofit like a business and other things, like I don't agree with that. Like you've got to build a strong community around you, and you got to support each other. And you're not gonna be successful by just having an awesome Twitch and having a good logo and a cool motto and a nice meme. You're gonna win by organizing, by having a community of solidarity, by sticking together, by having each other's backs. And so when you're having a hard day, or when you're taking a risk, the people that you've been building a family with are going to be there and standing by you. And if you don't do that work, you don't build that solidarity, you're going to find yourself alone out on a street one day, or you're going to find out, and that's not fun. And if we can help each other out, we can lean on each other more, then we're going to get through it, because we come together because the mission is right. But a lot of times we come together because we're having fun together, and because we're building that community. And if that's prioritized above everything else, I think we're building it right, because you need the foundation before you can build a campaign onto anything. That's why it is good for MASH to like reach out, and we do a survey monkey and figure out where people want to put effort in, because like I have awesome ideas all the time, all the time, like 100 a minute. But if I'm the only one doing them, it's not going to work. We got to put energy where people want to put energy, and that's real. So, so that's something to consider. So we have to read the room sometimes and look around and see if everybody's behind the stuff that we want to do. So we're not doing it alone, and we have enough support.
Go ahead, Colleen.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm sorry I'm late. It's storming here. And so the internet is being a little dicey. Talking about burnout, like I actually did majorly burn out. I like my community in St. Louis, like got together a bunch of like funds and time for me. And I like went to the mountains for a month and didn't talk to anyone because I was so burnt out. Working like, just it's very easy to, it was all of a sudden I turned around and like I literally, if I wasn't doing anything social unless you were working on a campaign or doing some kind of work with me. And so I think burnout is really real. I think that also, like some of what Garrett said, like figuring out what the goal is, if the goal is to like produce a lot, and be really visible, then your work is going to look different. I approach activist spaces much more like with sort of like a liberation goal of like wanting a different world, a completely different world. And that is like free of a lot of the isms that we live under. And so the space that it takes to build that and the approach that it does to do that kind of work is going to look really different than, there are plenty of nonprofits out there that like have different goals, around, it's about raising money, it's around visibility, all of that kind of stuff. And they do a lot of different kind of work. So like, I really believe that, one, I think a lot of that like sense of urgency is ego, is what I've learned through my burnout stuff too, is that thinking that if you work hard enough or you do something, you can create change. And it's easy to forget that like really all the work that you're doing is on the backs of like hundreds and thousands of unknown named people doing this work, and that you're just like one of many, which is also reassuring to me that like, people are going to pick up this work in the future. I also think that a good idea is only as good as the capacity it is to play it out. And I say that all the time, because I think, and for me, capacity means are more people going to learn skills? And because I don't know if necessarily any one project, I don't think any one project or any one group or any one bit of activism is going to shift the current living dynamics that many people are living under that are oppressive. And so the only thing that I feel like I can do is to build skills and be parts of places where people are learning to make decisions collectively, especially in a society in this country where we're so individualistic. And so the more opportunities that we create for people to make decisions together and collectively and move a group of people together that don't have to move, to me, those are like really the only skills that we can really be building. So most of what I do, and I mean, this is a point of tension. Like, Garrett has mentioned to me before, like, maybe just do it. And I'm like, well, if I just do it, then nobody's going to learn how to facilitate and nobody's going to learn how to note take, like I come from that perspective of like every skill that I may have, like, it's not going to go anywhere if it just stays with what I do. Which means a lot slower pace. I also have spent the majority of my working life in nonprofits or in volunteer only spaces, and volunteers move differently than people who are required to be in these spaces. And part of that is like, people don't want to do things out of shame or guilt. And so you will start losing people if you use that as a main motivator. And so you have to celebrate people taking steps back to take care of themselves or to spend time with their family, or, having dinner with their kids because they haven't seen their kids in 2 days, because, and I also think people come in and out, depending on what we're doing. That being said, I do think you need to create opportunities for people to engage. And so often what happens too is like, there becomes, not on purpose, but like almost like cliques. And I don't want to use the word clique because that sounds more malicious than I'm really intending it. But it's people get used to working with a certain group of people and they forget how to create spaces to like bring people in and engage them. And so then there's not a lot of opportunities to then build skills or to learn or do more with people or build relationships with more people. And I think oftentimes, like, a big pet peeve of mine is when you're trying to like build an org, there's very little space for the community building piece or childcare or sharing a meal. And most of the orgs, like later on, as I was in activism spaces, like I really that just became a core part of every single thing we do. Like, it was like, who's going to sign up to take notes? Who's going to do childcare, be responsible for childcare? Who's, who's going to break, the meal before our meeting? Because so much happens when you're creating space to like know one another. Because I really don't think that people are motivated into action by facts. I think people are motivated into action by catching courage from relationships. And so I think that also is a core piece. And I just ultimately don't believe like any revolutionary work is going to be led by like middle-class professionals. Like, I think that you have to move at a pace where working people and people with families can participate. And if you're not moving at that pace, then if you're moving at a pace that only people who do this for a living or people who are retired or people who don't work can participate, then we're not moving at a pace that actually is going to bring about any kind of substantial change. Mm-hmm. I guess. But that being said, I do have a voice in my head that pushes myself into like all sorts of unhealthy working behaviors. And I struggle with boundaries just like everybody else. So, I mean, I think, it's hard to live under capitalism and with all of those like urgency and perfectionism and, narratives in our head that if we do more and if we do it faster, something will happen. Adrienne Marie Brown has a bunch of really good quotes in her book, Emergent Strategy. And one of them is move at the space of trust, or move at the pace of trust, which I also really like too.
Yeah. Thank you, Colleen. I just wanted to add also that, also understand that especially everyone in our community is very important, but the actual military veterans also understand that so many of us are trauma survivors and we are literally engaging our trauma by being a part of this community. And so like exposure is a thing and it is painful and difficult for in the beginning, especially. So if you are exposing yourself to things that were traumatic to in your past, that can also result in burnout really easily. And so just being cautious of that and knowing that, being gentle with yourself, because like if you can't handle having a conversation about your trauma every single day, that doesn't make you weak, that doesn't make you lazy. It just means that you need time to process some shit before you can do that. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah. And I just want to like echo the reoccurring theme that I heard in everybody's was this like relationships, like being able to lean on each other and building this foundation of trust within the community. And I think that is probably the most important thing we can do even as the space grows, is being a community where we can just be able to rely on each other and count on each other and be there for each other, because ultimately that's what we want to foster in order to show people that there is an alternative to the military and to that kind of mentality of go, go, go and always have to blow stuff up kind of thing, right? There are alternatives to that kind of stuff. And so building the community is probably the most important thing we can do to make sure that we reduce burnout, and being able to talk about these things and open to when we are feeling burnout. So yeah, thank you everybody for sharing those things. Yeah.
I just wanted to mention something somebody had said in chat. One of the things it's Moonstar. One of the things for me is that I have the desire, passion to help and participate, but I'm coming in with a plate that is already overflowing. Mm-hmm. And so they won't commit to things that they can't see through. And it would be cool if we had smaller parts that we could ping members on.
Yeah.
So let's keep that in mind. I'm going to put that in the notes. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Thanks for mentioning that, Jules. I was actually just typing a reply.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No. I'd rather it be said out loud on camera. So thanks for putting that forward, Moonstars. Really appreciate that. And Open Ajna, I'm going to call you One Open. One Open. I really appreciate that comment. Yes, we are trauma survivors, especially when our trust was taken advantage of. The MIC took advantage of our trust, and trauma changes belief systems, and it absolutely does. And I think this community is a place that we want to acknowledge that and make sure that our culture and our community acknowledges that, honors that in each other, and that experience that each of us are bringing to the table, the skills that we're bringing to the table, and we want to be that support structure that a lot of us don't have or haven't had in a capacity that is intersecting the places that we're occupying, which is activity space and hobby space and veterans that aren't necessarily the mainstream veteran attitude or population or things like that. So but this community is designed around people that have been left behind by the system of capitalism and the military-industrial complex and things like that don't feel safe operating in those spaces where other veterans can get community in regards. So I think that's really important, and we want to make sure that we build that trust amongst ourselves, anybody that's coming in to the space, and lead and proceed at a pace of trust. I really do like that, Colleen. That's an awesome thing. Anybody else got anything?
I also just want to say that I do think that there is a certain amount of I don't know what the right word is, professionalism or something that we would want to exhibit, or something that, but I also want to push back a little bit on that, because I think so much of what I see a main purpose of an organizer is getting people to know that they're powerful enough to make change, to participate in change, in activism and in change. And I think, our society is so super hierarchical that we think that, it takes a while to unlearn that we need to, that we're smart enough or whatever enough to be able to do that. And a lot, I feel like I used to organize people to go see congressional leaders for the sole purpose, just so they would realize that they're not any smarter than anybody else. The demystifying, because so often we're trained to think of people in hierarchy or invisibility situations as knowing more. And I think it's such a sense of really, we just need to create opportunities for people to feel empowered, and if they have a critique of the current system, that's enough. They don't need to know 1 million facts about anything. They can just know that it's wrong. They don't need to know all of those, all of these millions of other things.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Pistons.
I was going to say I really do like Moonstar's suggestion a lot, because I'm very aware of the scarcity of resources, just with everything I have going on with my other work and volunteer activities. And I know sometimes I'm a broken record, because I'm always worried about mission creep, and I feel like we're going in so many directions. And how can we stay on that truth and recruitment goal that I came into the project thinking that was our main goal. I didn't expect all the other things that we have going on. But I think having these smaller tasks, especially if they are related, for example, the Twitch military recruiter badge, things like that, will help some other people, me, and then other people in Discord who've expressed frustrations that we're kind of spiraling out of control. I think that'll help us see that we're still working towards that initial ground level goal that the initiative was formed with.
Talking about mission creep kind of will bring us will be the segue into the next point, our final point of talking for the evening, which is I'll get to in a second. Does anybody else have anything else about burnout, overextension, the culture that we're creating, and the pace and understanding of the pace that we're operating under? I think this topic is firsthand. It's important to me to discuss, and making sure that we all are setting our expectations, even for ourselves, appropriately. And so I personally appreciate this conversation, and I think the community at large does also. But Phoenix, you're muted, Phoenix.
Thank you. I also just want to put it out there, if anybody is feeling like burnt out or like having difficulty, I think that we do have a good community so far of like being able to express that I'm having those type of feelings. But also too, if you don't want to express it to the group, feel free to DM me in the Discord. I'm more than happy to listen and talk it through, and sometimes even just being able to vent is helpful. So and I also, like, if you even feel like you have capacity to do more, feel free to DM any of us, because we're always looking for like, hey, I got more ideas. So either direction, right? Like, we could always use more help. So
and I definitely am available in DMs if you've committed to something and you don't want, like, it's too much, you need to take something back off your plate. There is not a problem with that in the world.
Right.
Like,
totally.
message us. We will, I will find and support any community member, if that means that I cover down, or we have a community that will cover down and make sure we make something work. So if you committed to something and can't follow through, it's okay. If you need whatever, please let somebody in the Thelema Circle know, including myself or Phoenix, and we are more than happy to address those concerns. And it's valid. Burnout's valid. All right, mental health's important, and we want to honor that. So, One Open just put in a bunch of good forms of therapy. Thank you for those suggestions, One Open.
Yes.
So, with that, I'm going to move us on to our final planned point of the evening, which I actually got to scroll down for this, ties into burnout, and mission creep, because we are a gaming community that we want to build some esports teams, whether internally, externally, and do these things, and we produce gaming content with a message, with a purpose, but also gaming content in general. So, conversation to open up on redirecting into more of Gamers for Peace and defining what Gamers for Peace is with esports and our gaming content, and what that looks like, what that could look like, and what the capacity we currently have is. So, Mash is our former FPS coach, and we want to thank him for the time he put in towards that. He has stepped down from the FPS coach position because there are some demands of being an esports coach, right? It's a lot of work organizing a team, building a team from scratch, getting into meta, developing routines and schedule, and to be competitive in any way, shape, or form, which, while we're playing here for fun, some of us are competitive people, and we want to honor that nature also. So there's an open seat for an FPS coach to be had within the community, and I would love for any ideas or suggestions about the direction that the esports and gaming fit into the other things that we've been talking about, the truth in recruitment stuff, and that platform, and that overarching purpose that we have. So, thoughts?
If I may, I guess the one thing I would say is that I think it is super important, and I think it is so important because that's where every branch of the military is throwing so much of their weight, that whoever takes on the FPS esports role needs to be somebody who has experience previously with first-person shooters, and I'd argue a lot of it, and only has that role. Like that's a full-time amount of work in and of itself. Which is why I ended up having to step down from it, because there was just no way to do it justice and also create content or handle literally anything else. Like we're going to need to find somebody who is already passionate about competitive gameplay, and we have some members in the community who came forward and we're going to start being a part of the FPS team. I don't know that I don't want to name drop them because I don't want them to feel obligated to step into a coaching role, but there are definitely it's a different kind of play to be tied into like competitive FPS esports, and we need to figure out some sort of way to touch base with those people, get them involved, and then don't give them any additional responsibilities on top of that. That's my 2 cents after occupying and now vacating the role.
I absolutely agree with that assessment, Mash. But Garrett, go ahead.
I think it's okay to be the worst esports team out there and still have one in play. I think y'all are putting tons of pressure on yourselves, and it's okay to play and lose. And I think the more we're out there, I think new people will see us just because we're participating, and they'll want to get involved, and maybe it's not a role for for the coaches we have now to be the coaches forever. I think it's also okay to step down. Like if it's just too much and it's not the vision, and it's not going to manifest the way you would like it to as a coach, then don't do it. But we don't need an esports team and everything, right? So we start with what we have, and we build it, and see what comes of it. But don't feel like we have to like win trophies like right out the gate. Like just fielding the team, in an esports tournament, I think would be awesome. Like that'd just be amazing, just to get our logo out there and have people see us and laugh at us when we lose. But eventually maybe we'll turn it around. I've seen Bad News Bears like hundreds of times, and they win at the end. I know they do.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are going to be people are always more like attracted to places when they think like people are enjoying themselves, I mean, I think that there's going to be there's of course like a core group of people who are like, definitely motivated for competition and winning. But I think we're probably, I mean, maybe one day we'll have, I mean, Bad News Bears did end with a win, but like maybe one day we'll have the market on really super competitive gameplay, and that will be really cool. But I think it's also like just as cool to have like a couple, because I think the point more is being noticed by like high school students, and probably there's not a lot of, there are maybe 20 high school and college teams that are really good on esports teams, but there's probably hundreds and hundreds of colleges and high schools that have esports teams that are not excellent, so it would be relatable. So I think, yeah. And I think, again, we just like move at the pace that makes sense. And I think like if there aren't people like that are totally motivated to want to play FPS games, then like, and I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but aren't the other 2 games kind of esports related? Like, is Valheim? Do you play? Oh no. Okay.
We have the Rocket League team, which is a competitive esport.
Yeah.
With low buy-in, and it's cross-platform, so it's easier to get more players of varying skill level involved, and it crosses age groups. Like there are probably just as many competitive or semi-competitive 20-year-old college players as there are high school or middle school players in Rocket League itself. Another game that looks to be going in that direction is a brand new game called Knockout City, that is very similar in buy-in and time and like investment into the game, as Rocket League.
And maybe this is a stupid question. I'm sorry. And Mash, I don't know if you know this, but like, can you be an esports team for like a while and then decide not to be an esports team? Like, is it easy? Is it an easy thing of going in and out?
I think Phoenix, honestly, is going to have a little more experience. Like, I can answer the question, but Phoenix, having done his work actually at the collegiate level, might be able to better answer your question there because he was doing a lot of the research for tournament placement for us.
Yeah. So what I've found really, honestly, is that in the adult esports world, is that like they're usually one-off tournaments. More often than not, it's a one-time thing. But it's going to be like a full day. Like you have to dedicate an 8-hour Saturday to competing in a tournament. More often than not, that's what the adult versions are. In collegiate, you play a full league and it lasts a whole semester. But that's because you literally live, like these students live and play games at the same spot, right? Like they go to school and we have our esports room and, you know, all these different things. So that's like some of the major differences I found. The adult world of esports is vastly different than the collegiate world because a lot of the adult world is just these one-offs. So it's more about just like, honestly, playing the game. You know, I think Garrett was kind of getting at that earlier is like, we just need to play the game. Like, I think if we focus too much on like trying to be part of a league or things like that, we'll get away from the gaming aspect too much. You know, like we need to just game. And then when these tournaments present themselves, we have capacity maybe to put some people together. We don't have to be fantastic. We don't have to win. We just want to be able to play this game and put some people together to play this game. But it is like kind of a one-off thing.
And to be clear, I wasn't trying to insinuate like that those were the standards for us to be able to like go to nationals and beat everybody.
Oh, okay.
But if we're going to show up even, it's going to require somebody filling out rosters, coordinating, you know, a half a dozen people for weekly practices at a minimum, a couple of hours of that, trying to like just organizing that small team of people on a regular basis and preparing for tournaments. Like we did a run up to a tournament that was going to take place in June. And even that, just as a casual thing with like 3 of us, like it felt like a heavy load. And that was Sin, War Puppy, and I that were going to participate in that first tournament. And even just for the 3 of us that are involved with G4P every single day of our lives already at the time, it was hard for us to find the space to like, okay, dedicated practice. Like, okay, like we are going to, okay, when's the tournament again? Okay, how are we going to get registered for this? Like dealing with that stuff. It's a lot of logistics and stuff, you know. Feels not unlike being in a school sport like system.
Yeah.
So,
like, is there a way to that? Like, there's maybe some strategic adult ones that you all could like, where there's like a lot more people that like the visibility is more important and it doesn't really matter if.
So that's kind of a mixed bag. So, because more often than not, what I find is there's a lot more geared towards the collegiate world than the adult world. And unfortunately, we're just not a college, right? So we can't compete in the collegiate world. In the tournaments that are available for adults, they're very much like an online space. So unless someone else is also streaming it on their channel, and we can like link to that too, it's going to be us streaming our own content while competing. So that's what I mean. Like if we just focus on playing the game and streaming while we play and not even having like this fully flushed out, like kind of like we need to like be discussing something hardcore or anything. We literally just need to play video games and stream. That's it. 100%. That's it. Just like I've got a bunch of people with like-minded ideas BSing and playing video games. And then when a tournament pops its head, we can make it a big deal. Like G4P's participating in this tournament, and we play it up on our own stuff, and we put it out on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook and all these different spaces that G4P, this veterans group, is competing in video games, and it's going to end up being more of our work to kind of do that, and then trying to partner or link with whoever might be hosting the tournament. Because a lot of the people that host tournaments, especially in online spaces, there's a gaming center, you know, a half hour away from me that hosts local and online tournaments. So it's them hosting it on their own Twitch and stuff like that. So it's very much not organized in terms of adult world.
Okay. Okay. So my question then is what if instead of trying to build an esports team, I wonder if it makes more sense to have like some kind of thing where we reach out to colleges, college esports teams, similar to be like, hey, we just want to talk about some counter recruitment stuff that's, you know, like we know that the military is targeting you all. Like, can we come talk also? And then we talk about Gamers for Peace, and maybe we even have the college teams on our Twitch to be like, we would love for you to come on our Twitch and play and do a practice session, and we can talk about recruitment if you're struggling with this. Like maybe that's a better tactic rather than building our own team. And it would maybe build our Discord, and then maybe one day we would have all these collegiate professional players that would take over.
I think there are two ways that this like esports grows, and it's primarily through gaming content. I was thinking about this problem today, or not problem, but topic. And I absolutely agree. Reaching out to high schools and giving high school kids a platform to possibly stream, and in a safe place that has a code of conduct that honors them and honors and puts them in this environment where they might not have the time or things to run a technical side, but they might, if given a chance, hop on a stream and stream their content for 5 hours to their friends, and be in this space. Same for college kids and college esport competitors, the teams themselves. I think the other thing that should happen, because we are Gamers for Peace, is and this goes back to a little bit of the mission creep, is we've focused so much on putting together set shows, and our set shows are doing great, and we produce great content on those shows, and they're becoming more and more refined. But what I think is a great way to move forward with gaming content is having the community or people that want to stream and that play the game, working up to the Apex tournament. I played Apex only on the Fridays that we were doing FPS Friday. And we should be dedicating some time, or people that choose to and want to play games because that's their hobby. When they're playing the game and it's their hobby and they're having fun, be on the G4P stream. Be on your own stream with the G4P logo as a GFP partner or streamer, right? Rep your logo will help support tech for your own stream and partner and be host. There's all sorts of back-end things to way that we can stream our content of 4 hours of Rocket League before the Rocket League capstone episode at the night, where there's a panel discussion of the community members that are playing Rocket League. And that's just casual gameplay when we are playing, because that's what brought us into this space, is to play the games and build a community to play games with, right? Like, I want to play League and Heroes of the Storm with a bunch of people in the community. And that's part of the reason that got me here. And I think just going back to that route with the back note of, we are also an activist organization that has some goals inside this space, but first it's to have fun, be on stream, playing games, and people can come watch us, hear us talk, hear us just casually play with each other. And that'll be how we get Rocket League players into the Discord, is because we stream Rocket League for 6 hours on Tuesday, capstone with the Rocket League team doing a discussion about the Tomorrow War, right? FPS team on Fridays does, or not FPS teams, but people that play FPSs stream for a couple hours, however much they can, however much they want to, because it's them engaging in their hobby and activity. And that will naturally, organically build into an internal esports team of people that want to play together, play on stream together, and then solidify into an esports team around an organized coach. And that'll also be into, because we have college age people in our Discord that could potentially get into competitive sports in Gamers for Peace and then go into their esports team at their college and start give us those entries into various colleges. I think just getting people to play games on stream when they want to play at any point is the step forward for both esports and just growth of our platform, instead of having to dedicate so many resources to a 6-man or a 6-person dedicated panel every Friday and like there's room. We can definitely grow those specific time slots and slot in shows as capacity and energy is there and as there's need for. But I think more importantly is just somebody hopping, like Haas hopping on HOTS, or Captain Luke, or Mash and Krabby, and people just hopping on Sea of Thieves and just streaming Sea of Thieves for an hour of your total gameplay, or to like however much you want to commit to that, of just bullshitting. I know there's a bunch of times like shooting a barrel out of a skeleton's hands and blowing up our ship. That would have been amazing content, and we even said it at the time. But that's I think that's
and amazing content.
War Puppy has done this a little bit. Sometimes when he's just feeling like playing Deep Rock on a Sunday, he'll hop on the Twitch and just stream it and just talk to people.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And just to chime back in, like I really think like that should be the focus. And then when we want to start plugging ourselves more into the collegiate world, and we have some content built up and people can come see what we're about, right? During the summer, especially, is when like the collegiate world like takes a break. So all these gamers are kind of looking for like one-off tournaments or different things, which we could help even provide, because running a tournament, it's actually not that hard at all. We run them all the time through our esports team at the college, for the college students at the college. Like we don't open it up to the greater area, but we also will be hosting Super Smash Brothers tournaments in person, hopefully next semester as well. So that'll be super exciting.
Maybe that's something that we could do kind of easily, like with, I think I missed part of it, but Nash was saying maybe putting a survey out, like figuring out who in the Discord, like what is the game that people play the most, like the most people, and then just do a simple like day or tournament type thing.
And even having our own internal tournaments too, just to produce content, and get the practice of running a tournament, because it can be like, it's mostly digital stuff, and so the real trick is like hosting the stream, like how do you do that from when you're not actually playing, so some of that can be difficult, but I think because
I think if we had content like that, like then we could, it'd be interesting to hear from Little Pistons too, like about like if you got a blind letter around an organization called Gamers for Peace, as since y'all are involved in esports, like would you respond to be like, yeah, you can talk to my people, or would you ignore it?
I think it's definitely worth reaching out to colleges, because just a couple of semesters ago, the Army esports team was partnering with Northern Illinois University and scrimmaging with them on a regular basis during the semester. So they're already doing it. I think it's just about finding the right school. And there's plenty of colleges out there with that culture that would probably be into our message.
Yeah. And I know for my college, I've been warming them up to VFP. So we've actually hosted some of the deported veterans on campus, and had some discussions around that. So they've been warming up. I think eventually that could be like something we could do. But our college, like, we have a Rocket League team, but they would absolutely crush us. They are amazing, to be honest. They're so good.
Maybe that's what we can offer. The opportunity to be crushed. Right,
but it's not about winning, but it's just like, it's more about I guess for me personally, I guess it's like, as the esports coach, if I had some just random organization reach out to me, I would probably ignore it, to be honest. Or I would definitely Google them first. And if I didn't like their content, I would ignore it, which I've done. So I had some political person reach out, someone who was like running for Senate. And honestly, like they were Republican and I ignored them. I completely and 100% ignored it and did not turn it. I didn't put it towards the rest of my crew. And so, because I didn't like what they were putting out. So it often is like, what is the organization? Because I'm going to at least Google them and see what they're about.
Okay, well, it sounds like there's a lot of ideas floating around. Like one is about just like playing. One is like feeling just the focus on the teams that we already have going, which is like the Rocket League, and there's one other one y'all said.
We have an FPS team.
But there's no coach.
There's no coach, and we have FPS players in our community. We have Rocket League players in our community, and we have players of Deep Rock Galactic and Sea of Thieves are our 4 top games. Deep Rock Galactic and Sea of Thieves aren't competitive games, but they are great content and extremely fun and more casual RPGs, and are just fun to play. And so those are the 4 things that we 4 games that we're sitting in, FPS being a genre where we have a couple games that we play. So
I mean, with Rocket League, we don't have the hours of gameplay in right now as a team to go to any kind of tournament or anything serious. And I agree with Mash, like there's not time in everybody's schedule to do content shows and practice as a team. It's just, there's not enough time. So it does really have to be 2 separate things, or just go with one and eliminate the other.
I would also add that like the Army esports team really doesn't compete a lot. They do a one-off tournament every once in a blue moon, but most of their channel is just them playing the game with some other military people. That's literally it. So when we talk about like the Army esports team, they're not even really an esports team. They're just like this, like, as we're recognizing, just a recruitment arm, because they literally just exist in this space. And they just be there to answer questions and promote the fact that the Army has an esports team and we're cool.
They co-brand a lot of tournaments, and they do one inter service tournament like a year that gets DoD and game developer money thrown at it, so it gets a lot of publicity, but they don't really compete that much. And they're at esports events and conventions in full gear, with a table talking about their involvement in esports, but they don't actually compete all that much. It's a lot of co-branding.
We just need a lot more money to put our logo on everything.
Well, or partnerships, like I think you were on the money, Colleen, of like, how do we like partner with colleges? I really like that idea. But of course it's like, as an esports coach, if I can't Google you, I'm probably not going to pass it on to my people.
Right? Yeah, but we are Googleable.
Yeah, we are now, right? Like we got some content and it's great. So we can, as the fall semester starts rolling in, maybe that is something we look into. Who are like the college circuits that we could reach out to?
I think it would be cool to like put together some kind of, this would be a little bit of time, but like put together some kind of like 10-minute presentation of like who Gamers for Peace is, what recruiters do, what are alternatives to the military, how are the ways recruiters are preying on young people.
I just had an epiphany.
And then just start reaching out to like collegiate level things to be like, we'd love to have your we'd love to talk to your esports team. We'd love to have your esports team on our channel. I mean, this is a different direction than what we talked about. I'd be interested, like to hear what, like Mash and Little Pistons and Chris, you think about that, because you guys have been putting a lot of time into developing, teams. So I don't know if that's a direct, I don't know.
I think that's a better direction than what we've been doing. So I think it's more focused. I think that we'll get better content. We'll reach more people, because it's hard to reach more people right now. And again, I know I'm a broken record, but I feel like we're creating content for ourselves and not enough is for a broader audience. So if we're inviting people onto our channel, they're going to bring their audience with them. So it's pretty easy to get more viewers that way, at least.
Yeah. And shoot, what was my epiphany?
Oh, sorry.
I know I had it and then I lost it, and because you made an awesome point, and I was like, oh yeah, that's great. And then my epiphany went to the back burner.
Something about like making a promo video for Gamers for Peace.
Oh, yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. How about we have VFP has the Truth and Recruitment working group. I wonder if we could make like a commercial kind of thing with Gamers for Peace and the Truth and Recruitment information that we have.
We had talked about for the convention putting together sort of like a commercial for Gamers for Peace, just with some videos from some video content from our streams. So that could be a good start. Yeah.
Yep. I think that would be great. And then, just some like Truth and Recruitment facts in there too. Like it could be even just text, but I think that might be a good way to even be able to do like a quick preview to people that we're trying to pitch or partner with, being like, hey, we got this organization that's made up of veterans, and also talk about like VFP as an organization, like more broadly too. I don't think when I talk to people at the college about being an anti-war veteran that I work with, they don't even, it's like the two words don't compute in their brains. They give me this like very blank stare look back, because they don't even realize that Veterans for Peace sometimes exists. They remember Vietnam veterans against the war, and they read it in a history textbook.
Yeah, I've been doing a listening project with post 9/11 veterans, and I had a veteran who the reason she joined is because she had said she was an anti-war veteran, and one of her friends was like, that's stupid. You must be the only one. And she Googled it, and she was like, no, Veterans for Peace. Look. Right.
Yep. So, and I think that would appeal to the younger crowd. I know I even pitched this to the membership committee at some point, but it would be really cool to be able to do like a college club type thing, made up of mostly non-military people probably, but that focuses on the same goals as Veterans for Peace.
Fergs brings up, what about also doing a GFP ad on the convention ads page? I think that's a great idea. And I think it's something easy. That's a low-hanging fruit, I think. It's easily accomplishable. Highly sensitive unicorn suggests might be helpful to break the task down into many small parts regarding the video commercial, and designate some people to do the various parts of that.
I would be willing to possibly help with organizing that and like breaking down the smaller tasks and maybe finding people to help out with them. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. I would like to support you in that because I want to start working on some video editing skills, like tangentially, because I think that's going to help with developing the tech so that we can help support more people getting into just casual streaming on their own with the GF, like affiliated with us or on our stream. And it's very important that we broaden our bases and do that stuff. So I would like to support you in that, Jules.
Okay, absolutely. That's great.
And also anybody else in the community that once we put together a list of that, start organizing that, we'll put it out to the community for people to partake in that because it is community led. Let's see. Anybody else have any other thoughts about the direction of our gaming content? I mean, I'm not even going to say esports right now. I'm just going to call it gaming content because the gaming side of the house.
Well, I'm kind of interested, like, because in a little bit of what Mash brought up too around, like, Mash, are you feeling like it would need to be something more if like FPS players just wanted to hop on our stream and play an FPS game, like without it being part of an esports thing, or I don't know if we're like kind of solving the critique or the desire that you had.
Well, I know that what we were doing wasn't working, and whether we're gonna focus in on doing tournaments or whether or not we're just gonna try and like build a community around streaming FPS gameplay, I mean, those two things are gonna look different. Most of my critique was aimed at a world where we have an FPS team that's trying to like field tournaments and like, you know, that's as the esports FPS team was spinning up, that was the original like plan, was like, okay, like, hey, Army Esports is like going out playing tournaments and being in these spaces, so we need to try and address those spaces as well. However, I think that there is a lot of credit, like well, we've already seen it, right? Like we had Second Thought come on the FPS Friday stream. We had a lot of views with that, and that went over really well. And he's not an FPS streamer; he's just a leftist content creator. So I'm sure that if we started bringing in people and like we shifted the FPS focus to just engaging with the wider FPS community, as opposed to like actually functioning as an esports tournament team, like I'm sure that would work great. But those two things are going to look really different, and we probably need to come up with a decision on which way we're going to go and then focus on that.
And just build from there.
Yeah, and then build for it. It's not a hard thing to do. We just got to pick a direction and start walking towards it.
Mesh, do you feel if we went the latter way of the more generalized gaming content, it would be hard to transition or add on later when we have the capacity and energy and the player base to
Not
get
at all.
into competitive?
I think that would probably be a good way to build that player base that I was talking about earlier, where like we need dedicated people if we're going to do the competitive side of things. And I think just engaging with people might be a way to get more people involved.
You just don't have those.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Pistons.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, we don't have the skilled players right now, and the only way to do that is to recruit more. I hate to use that word, but
Well, maybe there's some young vets out there that are streaming for like 3 people that are actually like really, really good at their games that, you know, if they end up coming across us in that measure of work, right? Just kind of like building out FPS like community, you know, that's a good way to go about it, I think.
Yeah, I think that would be cool, and would like also we'd actually be organizing and doing outreach, like figuring out who is also streaming the, you know, even if 5 people are watching and being like, hey, do you want to come on and play with us? We're terrible. Or we're great. I don't know. I'm sorry.
I think both interchangeably would work to get people in, maybe.
Yeah. Or just come chat with us, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But does that, do you feel like that relieves some of the pressure around creating content? I mean, I know the ad show, you know, there needs to be a lot of prep for content, and it also seems like the Galactic show, there's content creation. Do people feel like there's other shows that a lot of prep goes into content creation? And can it just be y'all playing and talking informally?
I mean, that would be a change from our current metric. We were using FPS Friday as a way to talk about some sort of like topic of the week, and really delve into stuff. And I was doing some pretty extensive outlines for that. But I think there's definitely a world where FPS Friday doesn't have to be about discussing something very specific, and it really can be a more community outreach based, like, hey, we just happen to be veterans and we're all playing this game, and oh, by the way, we're anti-war. I mean, that's a totally fine metric for the show. It's just not what it's been thus far.
I'm hesitant to just scrap the shows in the formats that we have currently. I think the work and outlines and that designated current events conversation that we have on the 2-hour-long FPS Friday show is really solid content. There's a lot of work that does go into that. Same with Mental Health Monday, led by Phoenix. The Rocket League discussions that we have, those shows, as they stand, I'm hesitant to scrap them and just go to casual gaming, and like have Ad Slam be the only like paneled discussion kind of show. I don't think that I think there's a world in which there's a casual Rocket League at some point, at various points during the week, and Rocket League still has this, hey, here's our serious conversation show, and like on Tuesday as it stands, or same with FPS, like FPS being played on Friday, and then a group of Gamers for Peace members, like MASH doesn't have to give up that show unless he wants to, and produce that content, get that, because that's an interest of MASH's. That's where there's a lot of energy in the writing, the research, and the execution of that show, and I want to honor and validate that, and don't want to just scrap that unless it's something that we want to remove, like MASH wants to remove from his plate. And I don't think we have to get rid of that for the shows that we have going. I also don't think that we need to add more heavy paneled planned shows. I don't think we need to do that at this point. Ad Slam is being led by Plantifa, and that's going in a great direction. I think Deep Rock Galactic is a great show. It has some interesting conversations, and the gameplay is fun. I don't MASH. Do you want to give up or stop doing the FPS Friday show as it stands right now, or what do you think? Not that I don't know if anybody was putting that even on the table, or if I just went someplace weird with it.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I hadn't thought about it in that context. I think it's a good conversation to have. I mean, if you think that might be beneficial, I don't know. I mean, so the thing is that we had been using FPS Friday to talk. Like tomorrow, we're going to talk about the, spoiler alert, right? The drone statement that just came out from VFP and stuff, and we've been kind of using FPS Friday to have like a very focused content about like current political events, current military things. We had Second Thought come on and talk about his video regarding military recruitment. So I think if that show becomes more just FPS gameplay, then I think something else should fill that slot of like kind of a current gaming / political event like show. His Deep Thought gets heavy into theory, and like it'll talk about current events, but it really gets into the weeds.
The other thing too is there's so much content already. If we're all kind of like mediocre players, there's tons of amazing players out there where if they're just gaming and chatting, as a video game enthusiast, I'm going to want to watch the better player if there's no other content or substance to the show.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting that we eliminate the current ones, but only if like people felt overwhelmed with the prep. Yeah. Like if maybe there's some kind of balance that can be like a little bit of prep of like, hey, let's talk about these current event issues tonight. But also just play or bring on somebody else. But I think if people are really feeling good about the programs they're heading up. We should stick with that. And then maybe see if there's ways to engage other folks in our Discord who like to play games, who'd want to come on and just do gameplay and chat, you know? And I like the idea of outreaching other vets who are playing with smaller Twitch platforms, or I don't know if you get much smaller than us. I don't know how many people are watching us right now, but but our Discord's big. So, you know, I think that that would be a way to actually like organize and outreach people in.
I love being on the FPS Friday show as it stands right now. I realize I am not as competitive of an FPS player as I thought I was. I am definitely more competitive with like League and MOBAs. But I love playing. I love being part of that show. Like the conversations that we have, the topics that are brought up, the messaging of it is really solid. I think Rocket League does an amazing job covering its show, or covering the topics that they do. Mental Health Monday, the new direction of Mental Health Monday is awesome. I think it holds an important space because this is a veteran and ally-led community that, as we talked about at the top of the show, is rooted in each of us have come to this table acknowledging the various traumas that we have. And Mental Health Monday absolutely has a space in there talking about the issues that the community faces being part of veterans. I feel it ties into truth in recruitment, because that is a truth. Like the vulnerable sharing that we do is a truth of what service in the military leaves you with, right? The lasting legacy of serving in the military means having to actually contemplate and think about these things and deal with the trauma, the addiction, because that's the current series that Mental Health Monday is doing. Like, those are things that plague the veteran community, and it's important that people that are prospectively being recruited see, witness, hear, but it's also a safe place for us to engage and get the healing within ourselves, within our community. I think that's important, and I really love what we've done so far. Everybody's done amazing work so far. I think acknowledging the burnout and the energy and capacity of our base, and maybe easing off the gas a little bit with the heavy political content into more of the gamer content to shore up our outreach, be our method of outreach, I think is a really great move forward. So I think we can get some gamers going, and you know, we help platform our community of gamers that we have, and uplift those voices, have them share their experience and chat and play the games that they're here to play. It's awesome. Anybody else have points or thoughts, qualms, quandaries, complaints?
If anyone wants to take over the Rocket League show, it's yours. I'll do it until someone else wants to take it over. But it's definitely a very big stretch for me that it's not the most enjoyable thing I participate in, but I'm definitely here until someone else wants to step up.
Thank you for holding that for us, Pistons. Sorry, go ahead, Phoenix.
No, I was gonna comment like on that is like the heavy streams that have a lot of like talking points, you know, can be difficult to run. And so like it's okay to have a stream where it's just you playing video games. I really just want to like hit that home, like, you know, like the logo and the stance and the mission, it kind of ends up speaking for itself. I think one thing we could do even is to add a little bit more of that detail to our page itself. And then maybe we'd have even less pressure to like, you know, to really have the Discord, you know, about, or discourse about the topics, you know, just have fun playing Rocket League, you know. And I know if you go to the Twitch page, you know, we have all the links, which is great. It just we might be able to add like some detail under the stuff, because you can put text underneath those links.
Yeah.
So just give more people like some more context instead of having to follow the links.
That works. That's a good point. Does anybody else have anything else to add? We are at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, 7:30 Mountain, 6:30 Pacific. I don't know.
The only thing I want to add is cool shirt, Garrett.
What does it say? Nerdy dads. Build character.
Rocking the D&D.
I gotta also say Pistons has an awesome shirt.
Yeah.
I still don't have one and I want it so bad.
Yeah, I love the red.
This was a Father's Day gift.
You can get Little Pistons shirt in our shop. Check the link down below. It'll take you right to our merchandise shop, and you can get one for yourself. You can also get a wonderful mug.
And a GFP belt buckle coming soon.
Yes.
Is that true? There's been a lot of emails about this belt buckle, and I have not paid attention to them all.
The amount of energy we have put into making this belt buckle available is too high. I'm just kidding. I don't know if it's too high. It's just a lot.
Yeah, that's why I just ignored it, because I was like, I have too many other things to do.
I'm picturing like hipster style, like on a solid white belt. Is that
Apparently there was a belt buckle from like 20 years ago or something that one of our members was like, it's broken and I want to fix it. And then they sent it to a listserv, and then everybody was like, that's such a cool belt buckle. I would buy that. So then it became like tracking down the people who I don't even really know. I've been like busy doing other stuff, but people get really, I've never worked for an organization where people get so pumped about gear.
Oh,
but I've been told it's because y'all were in the military and y'all really liked t-shirts in the military.
It's true.
And so people just get really, really into it.
Well, wait till the documentary comes out about how it all came about.
Yeah.
How the belt buckle came to be. It'll be a really...
I can't wait for the belt buckle to be part of the standard Gamers for PC sports team uniform, jersey, jeans, belt buckle.
I still want my fuck war shirt. I'm just saying.
Touchy subject.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Next subject.
Next subject.
Well, the next subject that if we're done talking about the gaming content and the general further refinement of the Gamers for Peace mission, culture, going forward direction, that's all that was planned for tonight's agenda. I don't have anything else unless somebody else does. Ooh, there's a link to...
Did I miss when you guys talked about the like follow up on the campaign stuff? Okay, I'll read the notes.
Okay. We're leading off with a survey. That's a synopsis. We're putting a survey out.
To see where the energy is.
To see where the energy is.
Okay. Excellent.
You know what? Just because I can do it, I will do it.
Are you sharing the belt buckle?
It's... I can't scroll.
I have no idea.
Nope, I can't do what I wanted to do. I have to uncrop. Okay. All right, can't quickly bring that in.
Look for it on Discord.
Look for it on Discord.
Yeah.
Who knows what thread it'll pop up in.
It's just going to be there. Moonstars, thank you for that. That's very nice of you to say. Appreciate that. We appreciate you. We really do, honestly.
Straight up.
Yeah, we appreciate the people in the community, because without the community leading this effort and being there, we wouldn't have anybody listen to us or make this happen or do any of the cool stuff that we're trying to do. So thank you for being part of us. Thank you everybody that's in chat, everybody in Discord, and everybody watching this not live, which is absolutely fine. Thanks for just watching and being here. With that, if nobody has anything else, I call this meeting.
Well done.
It's another bi-weekly meeting of summoning an elder god to bring about awesomeness. All right, and Sancha says, "Is Sancha our elder god? Is that what just happened?"
I was sacrificing her to the elder god.
Oh,
but whatever.
Bye, Sancha. All right, and on that note, thank you for joining us. If you like us, want to support us, hit that follow below. You can also subscribe, and if you really want to help the community and take part in the larger mission and larger activist organization, you can join Veterans for Peace membership. You can follow a link down below. All right. You can follow that link right there in chat, and merch is down below, all that good stuff. You can also join us in Discord to take part and join the community. We'd love to have you there. Take part and help play some games with us. Because I don't know what I'm doing in games. I could use the help. Join us. Have some fun with us. And we look forward to seeing you around. Good night, everybody. Peace.